Hi, this is Dan from Lathrop Insurance. In this challenging insurance environment, Lathrop Insurance can be your beacon in the storm to help you find the coverage you need at the right price. Now, more than ever, you need a partner in the insurance industry that can work with multiple carriers to make sure you have the right coverage at the right price. Lathrop Insurance carries home, auto, and business insurance and can be reached at 401-596-2525. We've been supporting the local community since 1939, and we look forward to working with you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Curtain. I needed to make sure the mic was working. It got all weird for a second. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Curtain with the Granite Theater. Today, we have Nicole. Nicole, oh my God, I got so focused on.
Well.
You know what? Introduce yourselves today. Nicole DiMattei.
There you go.
And Anthony Caporale.
Caporale.
I nailed it.
You nailed
I
it.
just got in my own head real quick for a second. So this is a very special episode because this is you're the reason she's here. You're the reason she's here.
I don't know,
so you were her.
Existentially, if that's the case, but geographically, that might be the case. Yeah.
So how long you guys have been producing partners for years? And give us a little bit of your history.
You want to go?
We can bounce off each other. We met in 2009, so
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy how long that's been going on. And we started Broadway Theater Studio in 2010.
Yeah, pretty quickly right after that.
Yeah. It's actually a really funny story. So Anthony is has a history with, like, don't do the hands because they pick up the camera.
Okay, great.
So Anthony is a mixologist, and he's currently the beverage director at the Institute of Culinary Education. So he has a long history in the beverage industry, and he was helping open a restaurant, and he hired me as a bartender, which is great because I had no idea what I was doing, but he taught me everything I knew. But it was really cool because he hired pretty much all theater people.
Always theater people, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just a bunch of.
But where did you find them in New York?
Yes, I know. It was scrambling to try and find theater people in Manhattan.
But as he does, because he opens a lot of restaurants, he left pretty quickly. And I
don't think you've ever forgiven me for that.
I've never forgiven you.
Because I left you there.
You left me there. But he had said to the group, like, oh, don't worry, we'll all stay in contact. And I was like, no, that doesn't happen. I was like, I do shows all the time. I travel, you have a cast, and then you don't see the cast. Like, it's not like you guys grab drinks. You maybe see them in a future show, but otherwise, like, I was used to saying goodbye to people. So I was like, peace, dude. And it's just, yeah, that is hilarious because I literally remember where I was sitting. I was sitting on a bar cart when I told you that we were never going to see each other again.
Yeah, right.
She was wrong.
And then you moved to Westerly.
And then I moved to Westerly, and then I followed you. Yeah, but as he was leaving, he brought up that we could, like, start a theater company, and it wasn't just me. It was kind of inviting the whole group to do
actors
this.
that I had hired.
Yeah.
This was the whole plan. This was the plan the whole time.
Yeah, I'd been running theater companies for a while. I'd started a theater company in North Carolina many years ago. I loved working on new works in particular. So I started a new work development theater company that morphed into a traditional sort of repertory company. I'd always had a dream of bringing a theater festival. I like to say Edinburgh style, but that sounds way hyperbolic. But some sort of a, like, theater festival to the region that I was living in, which is very arts focused.
What part of North Carolina?
Chapel Hill. It was the Triangle.
Nice. Yeah.
So Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, very right for that kind of thing. And then I moved to New York to continue to actually open a theater on Long Island, the John W. Engelman Theater, as their operations director. I was doing front of house, including bar, and then moved into the city. But I'd always wanted to do sort of a theater festival, and I'd opened theater companies before. And we were sitting around the restaurant one day talking about how we hadn't done theater in a minute or two, and how we should just get together in someone's living room and read scripts. I said, great. So let's just rent some space in Pearl Studio and do that. And that was the beginning of Broadway Theater Studio. And then we started inviting people to come in. I've been a teacher my whole life, and so we started inviting people to come and do audition workshops and monologue workshops and scene studies. And then we eventually started working with new playwrights, which I'd been doing in North Carolina for a while, and developing new works. And we were never really satisfied with what we got, I think, in terms of commercial possibilities, because that was always the goal. For me, the next step was opening something off Broadway. That's what I really wanted to do. I'd been producing for a while at that point, and we never really found anything. So,
there was some amazing talent, like some really cool writers, creators that, I mean, one of whom is writing she's
the score for a Broadway musical right now. Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, it just wasn't a great fit for what we were looking for.
Yeah, that show
was the main
specifically
thing.
that she was working on at the time wasn't right for us. And then, we got so into, helping people dramaturgy, right? That I was like, what if I wrote something? And there was a 10-minute play festival, and so I wrote it. It was 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Right? Yeah. I wrote something. I sent it to Anthony, and probably like, I was gonna say the biggest compliment you've ever given me, but you compliment me a lot. He was like, I have no notes.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was just a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
And it did quite well in the festival.
Yeah. We ended up in 2 festivals with that one.
Yeah. It did really well. And she's being typically modest, but she's an amazing writer and had done a bunch of writing, and since also has written how many novels? And
I have ghostwritten 14 romance novels.
14. Have you really?
Yes, I have.
What?
Yeah.
Amazon bestseller right here.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I need to get your pen name later.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we decided that, maybe the better fit for us would be to try and develop original works using sort of the experience that I'd had developing works for our own properties. And then you came.
Yeah. And then I was like, what if I wrote something for the New York International Fringe Festival? And Anthony was like, what if I wrote something too? Would that be okay? And mine was very much like rom-com on stage. It was adorable. And he had the idea to put his mixology workshops on its feet, which was something we had been doing for a few years. What's the word I'm looking for? Seminar.
Yeah. So I was working as a national brand ambassador for Drambuie Scotch, and one of the main duties of the job was to go around the country and present workshops and seminars at industry conferences. But they, I always made them very theatrical, and the brand always wanted them to be very engaging and immersive, and we would serve drinks during the content. And so, of course, I brought in Nicole and people from Broadway Theater Studio so that we would produce like little shows. Instead of just getting up behind a podium and talking about scotch, we would do skits with props and comedy and, all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
So
and he was being extremely modest at the time, but I was like, this makes a lot of sense. I feel like this is a surefire hit. Where you're learning about the history of cocktails while drinking the history of cocktails. And so we kind of did this thing where we're like, let's both submit our plays. If one gets in, we'll produce that. If neither get in, he was like, we'll produce yours first. And I was like, why would we produce mine first? Yours is going to make way more money. So we produced yours first, then use the money for that to produce I Feed You. And shocker, both of them got into the festival. So we had very busy.
We had to turn a Pearl Studio-based sort of development group into a full-fledged production company to do 2 simultaneous Fringe productions.
Yeah, and Fringe Productions is not unlike community theater. You do everything yourself, and you don't have. I mean, literally, it was just
it's soup to nuts. Yeah, there's no support. There's no production support.
Yeah.
So and so we did, and they both did really well.
Yeah. But the Imbibe, just the title alone, the Imbibe, a spirited history of drinking, got us an interview.
Yeah, who was it? It was we got, I don't know.
It was like
Or-
it was like a crazy press thing just for the
right,
title.
For the title, right.
So even before we opened, and then
right, there was a roundup of shows with the most intriguing titles.
That was it.
Like,
yes.
how many shows were in Fringe? I was like
600, I think.
It was a lot of shows.
Yeah, no,
well, it was like 600 entries, but they picked like 80. It was a crazy number. It's a crazy number of shows.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they picked like 4 or 5 that they liked the titles of, and any kind of exposure in that environment makes a huge difference because people are just overwhelmed. So they just go to any recommendations they get.
Yeah.
So that helped.
Yeah, that helped. And then we opened the Fringe Festival to a sold out audience.
To a sold out show.
And then woke up the next morning with our faces on the cover of the art section of the New York Times.
Which was nice.
Which was insane. And also like the thumbnail. The thumbnail was my face.
Yeah.
And I remember like just getting my New York Times alert and just seeing my little face.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening?
In the theater section of the New York Times.
Yeah.
So that helped.
Yeah. So definitely have a few copies of that article. Yeah. And then we sold out every single performance at the Fringe Festival. We were asked to encore. So that was only 5 shows.
Yeah, I think 5 shows off Broadway.
Yeah. But how many got encored?
I think it was 5.
Oh,
but it
okay.
was at Soho Playhouse.
Oh yeah. So five shows of the entire lot got encored, and we were at Soho Playhouse, and then those all sold out. So Soho just asked us if we wanted to stay, and
so we did.
And it was just like one of those things where it's not what you think of as like a normal off-Broadway opening story, because there's planning that goes into it. There's fundraising,
right? All the things that you're supposed to do. We just kind of jumped in the next week, and it was like a month later.
Yeah, no, it was, and we were like, well, we'll start with 2 shows a week,
right?
So we had 2 shows a week running off Broadway, and then quickly we just kept jumping up.
Yeah, bumping up number of performances, and then we were able to bump up ticket prices, and then Nicole moved. So we were at Soho Playhouse in a speakeasy space, which is great because the whole idea of the show is the history of our relationship with alcohol from 10,000 BC through today. And as we, sing, and they're singing, and I always say it's Sesame Street with drinks, right? They're singing and sketches and comedy and props and costumes, and it's we do live distillation. We distill on stage and then light it on fire and all kinds of great stuff. And we were able to do this in an actual speakeasy in New York, a historic speakeasy, which was
Tammany Hall.
For Tammany Hall, right? Not just a regular speakeasy. It was like the leaders of New York would meet here illegally to drink during Prohibition.
And we had like a secret door
that
people had to
come
like
in.
knock and get, like their name was on a special list.
So we see like now it's a little because there's a ton of immersive drinking shows now when we're like, hey guys,
we did that first.
We kind of did that. I'm pretty sure we were the first show that you could actually drink during the performance, which is something that I pioneered at the Engelman Theater. We actually, when we redesigned the theater, we use stadium seating with cup holders built into the seats, which in theater was just verboten. Like you just didn't bring drinks into the house at that time. And we encouraged people. I designed all the glassware so that it was stemless and so we kind of really knew how to do that. And now it's everywhere. Yeah. But I like to think we had something to do with that.
There it is. Innovators.
Take all of the credit, guys.
Take all of the credit.
Take all of the credit. Yeah. We have a comment from Clarkson who said you both are amazing.
Oh, that's Don. So. Thank you, Don.
So then Nicole, then we were running for, I guess, about 3 years, and we brought in a bunch of cast members. We were running it like a restaurant where you could just literally pick a schedule. We had any number of replacements for each of the roles.
And it was really great because we were in charge, we got to do what we wanted to do. And from doing a lot of regional theater and touring, I really wanted the actors to have like a place to come home to. So the way we ran it is that you had specific shifts like a restaurant. No one did like the full, except you.
Did, and
you did. Yeah, you know what? Maybe we did have like leads in every role, and then you had people you could call. to get your shift covered, right? Or
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, or like if anyone got a show or like summer stock, they could go away for the summer and then call us when they got back and they were put back on the schedule.
Right.
And so like that was really great. So we had so many actors that were with us for the full 6 years.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was just a really, really great thing.
And you know, in those 3 years that we were at Soho Playhouse, we also Christmas was first or Rum was first?
Rum was first. That was like
Yeah.
the next year.
Yeah, I had told Anthony, this is like a running theme in our relationship where I tell Anthony what I want and he makes it happen.
Honestly, that makes the best producing partners.
Yeah.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
fantastic.
But yeah, I said I wanted Imbible on a boat.
You did. That was your words.
That was literally, I want Imbible on a boat. And the next summer we did Rum and Pirates on the Hornblower cruise around New York City.
Yeah, Hornblower was interested in having theater on their circle of New York cruises, so they commissioned us to write Rum and Pirates, which is the story of rum told by singing pirates, which was super fun.
Love that show so much.
Yeah, well, and that one you wrote more than half of that show.
Yeah. Well, the one we did on the boat was different.
Right. Yeah.
When we kind of rewrote it
Right.
for because the boat one was a truncated.
Yeah, it was like 30 minutes.
Yeah. So then when we did the 2-ish hour version, we ended up realizing, as much as I loved Imbible on a boat is very difficult. There's so many uncontrollable things. So the following year we expanded the show and
built a boat.
we built a boat on stage, which, you know, was awesome. And then that same year we did
Christmas Carol Cocktails.
Yeah. Where, ready for this? Scrooge wakes up thrilled, you know, happy, loves Christmas, and decides to summon back the spirits to teach him about cocktails, past, present, and future, so he can throw a party.
I love it.
Yeah. So that we used to say, just running that show, we could, you know, live for like 3 months,
a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to worry about ticket sales in January, February, and March because of the Christmas show.
Right.
But
listen, I know you have next year's schedule planned out, but can we get some drinking shows at the Granite, please?
It is not been talked about. So yeah, we it'll happen eventually.
All right.
But yeah, and it's not like we took down Spirited History.
No, Spirited History was running the whole time.
Yeah. And then
with us in it.
And then we did the History of Brunch.
Then we did the History of Brunch, which was also really, really fun.
Yeah. So Day Drinking, the brunch musical, ran in repertory with Spirited History. So it was like the 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday show. And yeah, so Christmas week, we had at least the last time we did Christmas in 2019, we had 18 shows running just in 1 week.
A week, yeah. 18 performances a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, no one would have ever thought that when you hired her as a bartender, right?
Oh, he knew.
That you're like, let's start a theater company and let's get successful off of making shows about drinking. Like that is just perfect kismet energy going on there.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, long story. I think she ended up getting us into New World Stages, which took the show to a whole different level because that's the premier off-Broadway venue. And the shows ran right up until they were shut down
March 12th, 2020
due to the pandemic.
Womp womp.
Yeah. So I ended up moving to Mystic during that time, and then you came out to help me produce the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival performing arts stage, and
I absolutely fell in love with it. I came out with my sister in June. The festival was in August, and kind of came out to scope the place, and I was like, I can't wait to bring Arthur here. I hope he loves it because this place is amazing. And yeah, he came to perform in August and also loved it.
And when people saw Arthur perform, Nicole's phenomenally talented, literally the top boogie woogie pianist in the world, in my opinion. The the audience has just lost their mind,
Yeah.
and wanted them here as badly, maybe more than they wanted to move here. So a realtor came up to them after the show and was like, "We'll help you find a house," and it was incredible.
And he did sell us our house, John Vincent Jr. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Listen, I've heard Arthur play, and I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. So anyway, so the Granite then happened, right?
Yeah. So we had we awkwardly asked Anthony and his wife if they would be okay if we moved here. Like, we don't want to like impede on your turf, but Arthur was graduating and we were going to be looking for a place to.
What was your response when they were like, "We don't want to impede on your, like, is it okay if we move 20 minutes away from you?"
15. I just timed it. I mean, I was over the moon. It was, I like to say Nicole doesn't do anything without a plan. But she rarely sits down, in my opinion, and like calculates a plan. It just happens in her head, and then she manifests it. That's what she does. And I think she would probably agree that somewhere in her brain, there was always a way for us to continue working together, and she was going to make it happen. I'm blown away by how effectively she was able to pull this one off. And I've known her for a while. But yeah, I mean, it was literally, I couldn't have imagined anything better to allow us to continue doing what we absolutely love to do. And honestly, I've worked with a lot of people over the years, and I haven't found anyone that's even in the same, I like the same league. I would say not in the same league as Nicole, but they're not even playing the same sport as Nicole. It's a totally different thing working with her. So I had tried to, and I was producing the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival. I'd done some work with the Seaport, and I always brought Nicole in, and I just knew it was never going to be the same working over that sort of distance with her when she was in New York. So to have her here, I couldn't have conceived it. She not only conceived it, she did it. So,
and now you guys are working together on helping produce the one of the oldest traditions, one of the most beloved traditions in this area. The Chorus of Westerly's 12th Night, which is making its return. How did that come to be?
This
is Nicole. I'm going to let her tell the story, but I'm just going to preface it by, yes, everything you said. And I couldn't feel more honored or privileged to be a part of that. I feel, I've been here 4 years now, which is to me significant. But, when you're looking at a chorus that's been around for 68 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, since 59.
69. That's 2 seconds. So for them to entrust us with it is just, I don't even have the words, but Nicole can tell the story.
So, really, I feel like when in New York, I feel like theater is very supportive of theater because everyone knows it's very difficult. Any sort of performing is just, everyone has their back, and if you're in a show, you go see everyone's show, right? And I was kind of shocked to move here and find out that wasn't the case, that like there wasn't a consortium of theaters. And I had I was general managing an international tour and worked with theater consortiums to book the shows, and was working on doing that with the Unbible too. Maybe one more day. But so, a lot of like what I was getting when I moved was, the United is new and fancy and they get everyone wants to be with them. And I was like, but they're not doing what we're doing, and the chorus doesn't do what we do. And wonderfully, before I moved here, Carly reached out to me to say, let's grab coffee, and we did, and that was wonderful. And then
the ED of the United, for those who might not know Carly,
like everyone knows
coffee
Carly
with
Callahan. And
Coffee with Carly should be a new show on this network.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, book me on that, please.
Yeah.
And then I I literally was like moving into my house, and Ryan and Andrew reached out to me as well to, welcome me and ask me if I wanted to sit down and meet.
Of the
And-
chorus of Westerly.
right.
Ryan,
Andrew, of course,
Ryan
Westerly.
Saunders and Andrew Howell.
Yes.
That's honestly,
Everyone knows who they are.
everyone.
I
everyone-
know.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah, Carly's at several years. She's a little bit of a newbie in the area. Ryan and Andrew
Everyone
literally
knows Ryan and Andrew.
literally grew up here.
Literally
They
grew
were
up here, yes.
they were sopranos in the Christchurch choir. Like, well, Ryan was. I think Andrew joined a little bit later, but literally, they are Westerly through and through, even if they're not necessarily from here. So anyway,
so
continue.
after meeting with them, and everyone was so welcoming, like so happy to have you here, and Westerly's amazing, and we're so excited, to see what you do with the Granite, and kind of got me thinking, like, can we work together? And so I had lunch with Tony Nunes, the artistic director of the United, and Andrew Howell, the artistic director of the chorus.
Musical director.
Musical director.
I think
Musical director. He's the music.
He's still the artistic director, isn't
Probably. I don't know.
he? I think
both.
that's okay.
He's the music-
We'll
he's
find
the-
out later.
He's the Bill and Mary Palm something. Hold on. There's an
Yeah,
actual
yeah,
title.
right.
There's a
I'll
huge
find it.
title.
There's a
huge
title. It is a sponsored title. Which, have you thought about that? Have you thought about
If anyone would
becoming
like
that?
to give us a ton of money, I will happily change my title
Yeah.
to your name.
It is the Bill. Hold on. It is the Marion and Bill Palm music director,
Oh,
Andrew Howell.
got it. Okay, so
Yes.
the music director. I still can call him the artistic director. And then John Tafone came and joined as well. He's their composer, also a Westerly native, and they were starting to talk about the 12th night then, and hilariously, when I introduced myself to John, he was like, I know exactly who you are. I've seen the Bible 6 times.
Love John. I love John so
And
much.
So that was really amazing. So they were talking about, script work, and I was just like, hey, if you need help, because they seemed stressed about it. I was like, if you need help, that's what Anthony and I used to do. We're happy to sit down, give you any advice we can. And I guess that kind of stuck in their heads when I said that. And then Andrew called me a few months later because something had fallen through, and he was just like, is there anything you can any advice you can give me, anyone you could introduce me to? And I was like, when does this happen? Oh, it's like the 2 weeks I have off from the Granite. Okay, let me think about this.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, I'm going to give Anthony a call, and if this is something Anthony is interested in doing, we might be able to do it. I was like, I can't do it on my own because I still have to run the theater, but I was like, I think and then I called Anthony and I explained the situation, and I said, I don't want to do this without you. But I think this could be a really, really cool experience. And he took like a minute to think about it. Look at his calendar. But it's just so up Anthony's alley.
Yeah. There was no real consideration as to whether I wanted to do it. It was a matter of whether I could do it well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exactly what I love and have been doing for so long. But I also love, one of the things that Nicole said that I think is so important for the artistic community to realize is this, I always say coming at it, because I grew up on Long Island, and Nicole also has roots on Long Island. So we in and around New York, going to Broadway from when I was young, to me, the two industries that I spent the most time in are theater and restaurants. And the thing that we always, when I'm teaching, because I teach restaurant management as well, I work as a consultant, I always tell people, when you're looking for a restaurant, one of the most important things location wise is to actually be next to another restaurant, believe it or not. And it's counterintuitive, right? And I cite things like Restaurant Row and food courts, and theater is the same thing. I always say theater begets theater. I've said that more times than I can count. And Broadway is, the ultimate example of that. But when I was working in North Carolina for so long, I encountered what Nicole encountered in Westerly. years and years and years ago that all the theaters in the area were very insular and very competitive. And one of the reasons I think that I wasn't successful in getting a theater festival off the ground is that they didn't even want to talk to each other. They were protective of their mailing list. They were protective of their donors. They were protective of their actors. Whereas when we opened the Imbible, it was like, please go do other shows, get better, come back, spread the word, and then bring all that back to the Imbible, and then we'll help you. There was none of that, right? And so when Nicole came to Westerly and immediately reached out to the other performing groups, whether or not there was even direct crossover, and as it turns out, there wasn't a lot of direct crossover. A lot of people just assume that theaters like the United and the Guard are doing stage work, and they're just not, for the most part. Anyway, long story short, that was just something that I absolutely wanted to get behind and encourage. I actually sit on the newly formed Stonington Cultural District Commission, and that's one of our missions, and we're very specifically looking to reach across the Pawcatuck and include Westerly and Pawcatuck, in all the great things that we're doing in the borough and in Mystic. And the fact that Nicole was able to forge these relationships with groups like the Chorus, it was just something that I couldn't not be a part of if it was at all possible. And then the more I learned about the show, it was, it was just something that I was thrilled to be involved with. So, but yeah, theater begets theater. Please remember that.
Absolutely. And I love to see the spirit of collaboration. I mean, the United and the Chorus also work together with the Speakeasy Choir, which seems like it would also be right up you guys' alley.
Yeah.
It's so great. And we love anytime that that 12th night can make a comeback, because it was something that was a long-standing tradition. And 10 years ago, we were doing a show. We were doing a podcast with the Chorus of Westerly called From the Edge. And we were sitting down with Ryan and Andrew and Harvey Blanchette. And we talked about it, and we talked about 12th night. And then after the microphones turned off, they were like, hey, by the way, this is the last 12th night. And
Wow.
I was like, what? Like, Dave and I just, our jaws dropped. And they were like, we have some strategic plans for the Chorus. We need to focus our energy there. This is such a massive undertaking every year. And, the Chorus really has goals that they want to do, like tour Europe and stuff. And now here we are, 10 years, three European tours later. And so many amazing things that have happened at the Chorus of Westerly. And now, 12th night has worked its way back into the cycle. And, so they do tremendous things. And I love the spirit of collaboration with all of the arts organizations in the area. Nicole, I think that is just a wonderful thing that you're so collaborative and want to, because nobody does anything like the Granite Theater does. And
Right.
nobody does what the United Theater, even the United and the Nick are different.
Right.
Yeah.
All of the and that was sort of the spirit of downtown. So long before you guys got here, this was a ghost town downtown. Like, there was maybe, Perks and Corks, which wasn't even in its own spot where it is now. That was there, and that became like the first cool bar down here back for back when I was like 21.
Yeah.
And even a little bit before, which at this point now was way too long ago. And then the Malted Barley opened, and it became this other thing. And it was like, it's the same thing that you said about restaurants, right? With like, you would think that would be counterintuitive, right? Colin was a bartender at Perks and Corks and was moving 3 doors down to start his own bar. And a lot of people were like, oh, is Brian Kilty mad about that? Because like, he's going to open a bar that's competition. And it was like, no, if you want a martini and a grilled cheese, you go to Perks. If you want a craft beer and a soft pretzel, you go to the Malted Barley. And if you want both in the same night, now you have an option. And so many things have opened, and and not that there weren't other restaurants in town, but those were like, that was the beginning of this like renaissance of activity down here. And I think that having having the United thrive with what they do, and having the Chorus thrive with what they do, and having Granite soar to new heights with what you're doing right now, Nicole, and your entire team. I just think that is so foundational to this has always been a big arts town. Its music is huge here. There's always been a great music scene in Westerly, the history of the Nick, all of those things, and you need everybody working together to make it something special. And I think that's beautiful. And 12th Night is going to be a celebration of that. Speaking of, by the way, the Chorus of Westerly has always, whether it be for 12th Night or the summer pops and stuff, they've always brought in, special stars and guest stars and Broadway actors and stuff. And now they've just decided to grow their own with this weekend with the Christmas pops. They Andrew Burnap, Tony Award winner, and now Disney Prince, made his return to the Chorus of Westerly this past weekend, which was something special to watch. But are those types of things like things that you didn't think that you would find when you moved 3 hours from the city, and now it's like, oh, actually the place around the corner has a Tony Award winner that grew up here and did this, and like, I don't know, like the amount of stuff that we have here and the possibility for more, I just think is beautiful. And I can't wait until, people that have come through the Granite are having the same exact experience.
So I'm going to jump in on that, if you don't mind, because so when my wife and I moved to Mystic, we looked all over the state. We looked, I not even jokingly, I was on the phone to a realtor in French Polynesia. I'm not kidding. So we cast a wide net.
COVID was hard for him.
We cast a wide net. Anyway, so, we were looking up in, believe it or not, northeastern Connecticut. My brother lives in Westport. We didn't have a car, so he was kind of driving us around the state. We needed lunch. So he said, on the way back, we were going to go to 95 and then back to Westport. Let's just stop in Mystic because it's beautiful. We stopped in this town that I had not been to since I think I was 2 years old and have no memory of, essentially. My parents took me to the seaport, right? And I literally drove into town. I was like, what is this magical place? And unbeknownst to me, the drawbridge was open and traffic was stopped dead in Mystic. And I still was blown away. I immediately went home and started looking for property. We came out 2 weeks later, saw the house that we live in, placed an offer that day. But one of the things that I was doing the whole time was like learning about Mystic.
Thank God you were hungry.
What's that?
I said, thank God you were hungry.
Yeah, thank God we were hungry. And what I found was it blew my mind, because to me, it's this perfect, gateway to New England, right? So you have all of Cape Cod, you have all of New England going all the way up to Maine. You're positioned between Boston and New York in an incredibly convenient way. My wife's company is located in Boston, and it's an easy Amtrak ride when she has to go in. She works remotely most of the time, but it's right there. I still work in New York City very frequently, right? And so what I found is that if you draw the areas of influence around these two major food and cultural centers, they overlap in Mystic. They don't even just touch, they overlap. So we talk about it all the time. The quality of culture that we have, from food, arts, festivals, you name it, is equal to what we experienced in New York, but it's in a much more accessible format, and it's something that you can get your arms around, I think, in a way that is really incredible. But I can tell you for a fact, having been in the cocktail world specifically and run cocktail competitions across the country and, lived in the upper echelons of the cocktail world, I haven't given up a drop. I say that, of quality or experience. You go into Shipwright's Daughter, you go into Engine Room, you go into, many of the places here in Westerly. It's the same quality. It's just in this amazing location. So that wasn't something that we personally had to discover. It was something that we were blown away to find out, and drew us here. And I can't speak to Nicole's experience on that, but to me, that is the magic of the Mystic Stonington Westerly campus, as like Carly likes to call it, right?
Yeah.
It's the same level. And I think it's just incredible. It's incredible. And, when you look at all of the articles that are being written about the food scene in particular, and the James Beard Award winning chef, again, at Shipwright's Daughter, and, regional finalists at Oyster Club. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So, what's been your experience?
Yeah,
Nicole?
no, I mean, same thing. And, I have two small kids. So like fun days, for example, close the street down and you can walk around with your kids. Halloween, right? Yeah. Close the street down. In New York, I dreaded those events.
Yeah.
Because you were like this. You couldn't bring your kids to them because they would get lost in the crowd. So that, for like actual experiences, this is better to me. I was overwhelmed in New York. And I did, I lived there for 20 years. So it wasn't like I felt like I was giving up on anything.
Right.
When we started visiting Anthony and Kelly, we quickly realized that we were sad to leave. And that was kind of our like turning point. Like, we don't want to go back to New York. We don't need New York anymore. Even like theater was getting weird. You know what I mean?
Well, at that point, yeah. So
I think it's settled now.
It's settling maybe, but
even like
it makes me sad.
Yeah.
But it's not the same industry that we left.
Yeah.
But on a positive note, to your point, and I don't want to drop this, I think it's not just where we are, it's the trajectory that makes me excited, and the ability to feel like we can be an active part of that. We can help drive it. We can have a vision and execute. And that makes me really excited. The fact that we can actually ride the wave and help contribute to the momentum.
Yeah.
Right. That makes me really, really excited.
Yeah. Because we were doing that in New York, but it was such a small piece of the New York City puzzle. Here, I feel like we're actually able to be as involved as we want to be, and people are happy to have us along for the ride.
Yeah. And then, I just went to my first Chorus of Westerly concert, embarrassingly, but there's so much to do. Right. And I walked away feeling like it was equal to anything I'd ever seen in New York. And, people say that. I've seen a lot in New York. I've produced in New York, right? And there wasn't an iota of talent missed from what I saw on that stage. I was blown away, right down to the presentation, the professionalism, the production values. It was absolutely spectacular, and it's right here, So
yeah, you watch a Chorus of Westerly concert, and you're like, oh, this is why they're invited to sing at Windsor Castle.
Oh my God,
and
absolutely, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
To see the 8-year-olds right up there and being, incorporated so perfectly from an artistic standpoint. And it's fantastic. It's just
and
fantastic.
Those 8-year-olds can grow up to be Tony winners.
Exactly.
Which is a true story. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you guys more about all of that. I moved away to New York for a short period of time, and when I came back, I hadn't spent a lot of time in downtown Westerly or downtown Mystic before moving to New York. And when I came back, I like fell in love with this area, and I love living downtown. I love working. This is our second office that we've had downtown. Like, it just, there's enough of a feel that you get what you might have missed leaving the city, without, as Nicole said, being incredibly overwhelmed and overcramped and etc. If you look over Nicole, look over your shoulder right now, like other shoulder. And the buildings out there, like it looks like the Nighthawks painting is behind Nicole,
Yeah.
but it's just outside of our window.
Right.
Like and I mentioned that last night too, like, because we did the light parade from the window here. Like our towns look like Norman Rockwell paintings. Like it's
I've commented that on that was part of my director's letter in the Granite Theater production that I was involved with. Yes, 100%. It's incredible. When I walked into this room, you probably heard me talking to Nicole. Like, this is an amazing view that you have out over everything that's beautiful about life. I mean, it's right out your window, right?
Yeah. It's nice. It's I like to say that we have the best view that doesn't involve water in the town.
Yeah.
Although I can see the river. So
Right. So there is water.
But there is water, just no beaches. But anyway, so what else do you what else do you want to talk about? You guys, I know that you could talk for hours. What other subjects have we not covered that you want to mention?
So otherwise Anthony just directed Sleuth at the theater. How was that experience, Anthony?
It was amazing. Yeah, it was it was my first sort of foray back into traditional theater as a director since I'd moved here. I'd been doing a bunch of stuff from the production side of it, but hadn't got my hands sort of creatively dirty. And so it was fantastic. I mean, walking into the little theater on a hill, and Nicole just, basically said, go have like sandbox, like go have fun, give me a show. And the cast was incredible. It was a dream cast, and the production team was fantastic, and it was one of the highlights of my directing career, being able to work with that team at the Granite and hopefully contribute to the direction that Nicole wants to move the theater.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've said this before, that show was extremely difficult. It was 2 people for 2.5 hours. Just open. I love musicals. I also love directing musicals because you can hide behind a lot of fluff and bright lights, and that was not this show at all. And I wanted a murder mystery show for Halloween, and I wanted something that fit the theme of the year. But I, after rereading the show, I was like, this is a difficult one, and I don't know who's going to be able to do it justice. And so I just begged Anthony and said I would work around his schedule. But, I say it a lot, but Anthony is the best acting teacher I've ever known. And seeing, Ken and Nick were spectacular, but even just seeing them from auditions to the performance was mind-blowing. It was really mind-blowing. And I know they got to do a lot of really fun, nitpicky work, and they both came out of that feeling like they had grown, that experience, which was really cool. And Steve, who stage managed, felt like he grew too.
So, again, that's one of the things that's really fun, because I'd spent most of my career in for-profit theater, which is a whole other conversation to be had, right? The for-profit versus nonprofit aspect of theater. But working in community theater, one of the things that I think is so important and is very different that I see, I think a lot of people, I don't want to say get wrong, but do differently than sort of my approach, is that you have to realize that in community theater, it is about the community. And if people aren't having fun, there's no reason for it to do it. I always go into the rehearsals and, I always have to say, look, don't ever forget that it's called a play for a reason. We need to be having fun, right? And people need to feel like they came out of the experience at least happier, if not better in some way than the way they went in, right? And then you balance that with ticket sales and quality and all that other stuff. So it's a very different sort of mindset working in community theater. But one of the things that was so amazing was being able to work with these 2 actors who I cannot say enough about, because one of the things that people might not realize, if you're not on the directing or production side, a show with only 2 people in it is orders of magnitude more difficult for the actors to do. than a show with even 4 or 5 people in it, because the dialogue is split equally between 2 people, which means they're each memorizing an hour and 15 minutes of dialogue in this show. There's not a lot of cues to trigger your memory. A lot of it sounds repetitive. So it is a phenomenal amount of work, even for paid professional actors. And for these 2 gentlemen that were essentially doing this just for love, with, full-time jobs in the case of Nick, and tons of passion and other work going on in terms of, for Ken, the work that they put in was unbelievable. And I'm so grateful that they gave me the opportunity to work with them. But where I'm going with this tirade is, please, if you're out there and you're interested at all in theater, I think Nicole hopefully will agree with me. You need to see the Granite as a resource, not as a barrier, or something that you need to achieve, right? You get involved with the Granite and they will help you get where you are going. So the more people, I think, that can look at the Granite as a gateway to theater, and then be thrilled when they get to experience the level of professionalism that Nicole brings to the theater. To me, that's the beauty. And I grew up in community theater. I grew up with an organization called Broad Hollow on Long Island that had at its height 5 different community theaters. And I watched actors go from 8 years old to 38 years old and go, leave to go to conservatories and come back. And that's like the course of Westerly, right? It's the same thing. So when people start, and I think they already do, looking at the Granite as a way to become involved in theater, become better at theater, learn about theater, maybe go to a workshop, go to a class, something like that. That to me is the real beauty. And that was the most gratifying part for me. If I was able to contribute to that experience, that's not something you always get to do in strictly for-profit theater.
Yeah, no, that was all really great. And yeah, I had an actor recently, we just had full Monty auditions, say to me, can you please have audition workshops, because I'm still freaking out about auditioning. And it's something I've talked to Anthony about doing some classes at the theater, and for adults. We do it for youth, but I've gotten a bunch of people ask me for monologue works or audition technique workshops. So definitely looking into that. If you're interested, reach out and tell me. But my biggest advice is to just show up. I had a woman audition for a title of show, and she came in and she was like, I am not right for this role. She was correct. She's like, but I just wanted you to see me, and I wanted to introduce myself, let you know I'm here. And for Full Monty, I was like, oh, I hope Maureen auditions. I really do, because she would be perfect for this one role. And then I see her name pop up on, the audition, and I'm like, yes. And I told the director, I was like, this is like, when I read the script, I was like, this woman should be this role. And this is in the audition room. Marla turned to me and she was like, you're right. Can I just offer it to her? Like, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't have had that preconceived notion had she not come to an audition that she was totally wrong for,
right,
just to get in front of us. And auditioning stinks. It's so hard, and you're not yourself.
Yeah. And so I don't know how much time we have, so cut me off if you need to. But I love storytelling podcasts, but I also like podcasts that give me something I can use, right? So let me kind of jump into something Nicole's heard me talk about for a while. The audition process. One of the things that we used to love doing with the Bible is that we would take our cast members, our longer running cast members, and bring them into the audition room and use them to help us audition, right? Whether it was just, keeping track of the schedule or reading sides. I don't think a single one ever walked away without saying, oh my God, my eyes are open in a way that I have not, experienced before. And where I'm going with this is, please, 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 one of the things that you have to realize, and I have to tell myself this still, when a casting director or a director is picking someone for a role, they are rarely selecting the most talented person who walks through the door. And I see actors walk away thinking, oh, if I had done this better, or I missed this note. What you have to understand is that the only thing a director, who in my mind qualifies as a good director, and that's my definition, is looking for is the person who is right for the role. And what that means is the person who is going to shine, do their best in the role, and who inhabits the role in a way that matches the director's vision, right? So, and in my experience, that's rarely the most subjectively talented person in the room, which is a crazy metric even, right? What does that even mean, right? So you can't ever walk away from an audition feeling like you've failed. You've got to think it wasn't the right fit, and I'm going to go back and find a role that is the right fit, right? So that's why I'm never a fan of these actors that take the approach of, I am going to go to X number of auditions a day, because it's not a numbers game in the way that things like maybe sales are. And I don't even think sales are, but auditioning is about doing your homework, finding the role that is going to be right for you, and going to those auditions that you're most likely to succeed at. And so where I'm going with this is, please, please, please audition at the Granite. Don't be afraid. It's a welcoming environment, and the director isn't there to make you feel badly or to criticize you. I always say that my role as a director is to make the person in the room do their absolute best. And if they walk away and they feel like that wasn't their very best audition ever, I failed. They did not fail, right? I failed. So, because when I leave the room, if I haven't cast the show, I don't get to sleep at night. I haven't done my job, right? That's my job. So please audition. It's a great experience. Hopefully it's a learning experience. And when the role is right for you, you will get the role.
Also, the director's rooting for you.
The director better be
so bad to be the person.
They better be rooting for you. That's the only reason they got up in the morning, took a shower, and went to the audition. Honestly, that's your job for the day. They have to be your biggest cheerleader, right?
Yeah.
That one note you missed in the song, they're not going to pay attention to that. They're looking to all the notes you got right. So, anyway, please, if that's helpful, go out and have fun with this. It's a play.
It's a play.
I love that. I would, I'm going to put myself back on camera for the first time. Oh, hey, no, I'm too far. There we go. Please come back sometime. And I want you, I want you guys to have a show where you just teach people about theater every week. Like, that's what I want from this. I think it's great. The only thing that I would fight back on anything that you said today is that there's such a thing as for-profit theater.
I said that's another conversation.
I don't know. I mean, outside of, Wicked or Hamilton or anything with Andrew Lloyd Webber's name on it, I don't know if there's anything for profit about theater, but I'm kidding.
No, you're not kidding. You're exactly right.
I've made like $4 on a show once.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this has all been incredible. I really appreciate it. I didn't sneak in a joke anywhere.
Oh, you didn't.
I didn't sneak in a lame joke anywhere.
I'm so sorry.
Well, no. There wasn't. We haven't mentioned like specific shows and stuff.
He's good at theater puns.
I try to do some theater puns.
Okay.
The only one that I came up with was when you said that you want everybody to leave a show happier than they were when they came in. I thought, that is absolutely correct. And I've always been a big believer that, Oedipus won't bomb if he winds up with mom.
That's good.
Thank you, Mel Brooks, for that joke. I was really struggling to find a pun today, I was really struggling to find something, and I didn't do it. But anyway, thank you so much, Anthony, for being here. Thank you, Nicole, for bringing Anthony, and thank you for hiring her as a bartender so many years ago.
I had to fight for it because the staff was full. I had to go back and fight to create a new position. That's how sure I was in the interview. And I brought her on despite the fact that we were already fully staffed. So
that's awesome. We have a couple more comments. let's see here. The best view of downtown is from the second floor doors of the Granite. I can't argue with that.
No, that's
that
true.
is
I
Yeah.
can't argue with that.
Yes.
Oh, we just can't do our show from there. What's the point of doing theater if there isn't growth? That's one of the many reasons I enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly
Nice.
right. Well said. Well said.
And Anthony's auditions are fantastic. That was from Steve.
From Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. There's no more shows at the Granite until February, until Love
February.
Letters.
Yeah. So a different 12th night. The Fables is bringing in their production of William Shakespeare's 12th Night, February 1st and 2nd.
Okay.
And then February 8th is Love Letters, sponsored by Westerly Rotary Club and featuring Rona Mann and Cal Lord.
Can't wait to see Pastor Cal Lord in Love Letters. That'll be great. He's a great guy. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to talk more about 12th Night for the next couple of weeks. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was
Thank you.
fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that's it for now. See you later.
Hi, this is Dan from Lathrop Insurance. In this challenging insurance environment, Lathrop Insurance can be your beacon in the storm to help you find the coverage you need at the right price. Now, more than ever, you need a partner in the insurance industry that can work with multiple carriers to make sure you have the right coverage at the right price. Lathrop Insurance carries home, auto, and business insurance and can be reached at 401-596-2525. We've been supporting the local community since 1939, and we look forward to working with you.
Hot summers and cold winters can be unbearable, but D&V Mechanical has the solution for you. As a Mitsubishi Diamond dealer, we provide energy-efficient and personalized comfort solutions for your home. Our experienced technicians will install your new system quickly and efficiently, ensuring your complete satisfaction. Don't suffer through another season of discomfort. Contact D&V Mechanical today for a personalized ductless mini-split installation that fits your lifestyle. D&V Mechanical, your comfort is our top priority.
Hi, I'm Chris Kozłowski, owner of Broadview Florist and Garden Center in Dunn's Corners. For over 40 years, our family-owned business has been your go-to destination for beautiful, custom-made floral arrangements. Whether it's a special event or just to brighten up your day, we create highest quality designs tailored just for you. Trust Broadview Florists to make every moment unforgettable. Visit us today or give us a call at 401-322-0390.
Are you looking for a fresh cut in Westerly? Step into Rio's Barber Shop in Granite Plaza. Whether it's a classic trim or a trendy new look, we've got you covered. Experience the perfect cut for every age and style in a friendly and relaxed atmosphere. At Rio's, it's not just a haircut, it's an experience. Visit Rio's Barber Shop in the Granite Plaza in Westerly or give us a call to schedule your appointment at 401-315-2208. Your style, our craft, Rio's Barber Shop.
I am Jim Howard. My practice is focused on representing people injured in car accidents, representing people injured in premises liability, represent people in all walks of life. I say all the time that I represent the underdog, and by the underdog I mean the person who is injured and is facing lawyers that are hired by insurance companies. If you unfortunately find yourself injured in an automobile collision or in any other circumstance where insurance may come into play, think of giving me a call.
Experience local excellence with Roof Right Roofing in Charlestown, Rhode Island. With over 40 years of unmatched expertise, Roof Right specializes in architectural shingles and holds the prestigious title of GAF Master Elite Installers. Known for their commitment to the community and support for local initiatives, Roof Right is your trusted partner for all of your home's roofing needs. Call today for a free estimate at 401-212-4140.
Ever thought about leveling up your fitness game in a fun and meaningful way? Kiefer's Martial Arts on Granite Street has everything you're looking for. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and of course, adult karate. It's not just about getting fit, it's about building your self-confidence, discipline, and that unstoppable feeling you get from all your hard work. Stop into Kiefer's Martial Arts today to sign up.
What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick down here at the Wireless Zone at Dunn's Corners at 224 Post Road, and everybody down here is getting the brand new iPhone 16. We have it here in stock. The best part is right now, if you trade in your old phone, you get it for free. We got deals all weekend, awesome savings. Come on down and see us, 224 Post Road, Dunn's Corners, Verizon Wireless Zone. We'll see you soon.
Brunch has arrived at Surf Cantina every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And don't miss our weekly specials like Monday Night Industry Night, Taco Tuesday with DJ Trivia, $1 Wing Wednesdays, Reggae Thursdays, DJs every weekend at 10 p.m. and karaoke on Sundays at 8. Only at Surf Cantina, 15 Canal Street in downtown Westerly.
Hi, I'm Neil Anthus, owner of Sound Financial Partners. We're a full-service financial planning practice dedicated to optimizing your investment, tax, and cash flow strategies. As fiduciaries, we always keep our advisory clients' best interests in mind when making recommendations. Whether you're preparing for retirement or growing your business, we're here to help you achieve your financial goals. Ready to start your journey to financial success? Visit us at our Westerly office or give us a call at 401-642-4333.